The old Victorian house loomed over the hill, a silent sentinel from a bygone era. For Thomas, it represented a fresh start. After losing his job in the city, he'd packed up his life and moved in with his wife and young daughter, hoping the solitude of the big house would help them heal. The house had been left to Thomas by a distant relative he'd never met. All he knew was that the home had been empty for decades, sealed off from the world by its reclusive owner. Now, standing on the porch with his family, Thomas ran a hand over the peeling paint of the doorframe, feeling the weight of history pressing down on them. It seemed like the perfect place to start over, far from the noise and chaos of the city, nestled amidst whispering trees and manicured gardens. Stepping inside, they were greeted by a cavernous hall. Sun streamed through dusty windows, illuminating motes of dust dancing in the air. As the days passed, Thomas and his family began to explore their new surroundings. His daughter, Lily, took an immediate liking to the place, claiming the largest bedroom as her own. The room was filled with antique furniture, including a large wardrobe with a mirror on the inside of the door. On the first night, as Thomas lay in bed listening to the rain, he heard it, a whisper barely audible, like a sigh against the wind. He dismissed it as the old pipes in the house settling in the rain. But then Lily came into his and his wife's room, her eyes shining with excitement. "Daddy, I have a friend," she whispered, "a new friend who lives in the closet and talks to me at night." Thomas and his wife exchanged uneasy glances. Ever since Lily had made that claim, things in the house had been steadily growing worse. At first, it was just the whispers, faint and unintelligible murmurs that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Then objects began to appear in strange places, and the family dog refused to enter certain rooms, cowering at the threshold and whining. One night, Thomas awoke to the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth just outside their bedroom. Heart pounding, he called out, but there was no reply. When he went to investigate the next morning, he found the source of the sound, a floorboard that had apparently shifted, making the sound of footsteps when walked upon. Relief washed over him. But that same afternoon, as he stood in the hall, he heard a floorboard creak above him. Curiosity piqued, he followed the sound to Lily's room and pushed the door open. He couldn't believe his eyes. The room was empty. But where the wardrobe once stood was now a gaping hole in the wall, revealing a dark hallway that seemed to stretch into infinity. He could hear the whispers intensifying in that direction, beckoning him forward. Determined to get to the bottom of these mysteries, Thomas spent his days exploring the labyrinthine hallways and chambers of the house. The house fought back, however, twisting and shifting, making the halls a disorienting maze. In the basement, Thomas discovered a cold draft coming from behind one of the walls. As he investigated, he felt a shift in the air, like moving from a dream to a nightmare. Behind the wall was a hollow space, and when he broke through, he found a secret chamber filled with hundreds of tiny holes drilled through the walls. As he continued his exploration, the whispers guiding him, he came across an old chest tucked away in a corner. Inside, he found a collection of faded journals belonging to the original owner of the house, Dr. Frederick Ashworth. The more Thomas read, the more disturbed he became. Frederick had been a brilliant but deranged doctor who used the house as a private asylum. He experimented on his patients, driving them to the brink of insanity. And he used the tunnels to spy on them and torment them at night, his whispers echoing through the walls. Thomas realized with a jolt that the whispers were the lingering voices of Frederick S. victims trapped in the house, warning him to leave before they, too, became his scream. Ignoring the warnings, Thomas tried to destroy the hidden passages, but the house fought back. As he and his family attempted to escape, the hallways twisted and reshaped themselves, trapping them in an endless maze. Finally, Thomas found himself alone in the attic, the journals clutched in his hand. In the dim oil lamp light, he saw a figure emerge from the shadows. the ghostly doctor, his eyes burning with an otherworldly light. "Welcome to my home," Frederick said, his voice a raspy whisper. "I see you found my little secret." He gestured to the journals. "I was hoping someone would come along and finish my work." Thomas backed away, his heart pounding. "What do you want?" "A new family to cure," Frederick replied, a manic grin spreading across his face. "One scream at a time.